Something very interesting when I was on CNN today. They know that I'm going to perhaps run for Congress against Nancy Pelosi in California's 8th as an independent. And the reason I'm going to potentially run against her is I want her to put impeachment back on the table. It was never hers to take off the table. Do you realize she said it even before they were elected? She said it like the day before the elections that they were taking impeachment off the table. Impeachment's not a course, it's not a dinner course or a dessert. It's a constitutional remedy for people like George Bush and Dick Cheney. Our founding fathers, many things were wrong with our Constitution. You know, many things were wrong with the founding of our country. So many people were left out of the process. I was left out of the process. Well, I wasn't born yet, but people like me back then were left out of the process. People of color were left out of the process. People who didn't own property. So it was our country was founded by the wealthy ruling class elite. They're the ones who started our country, and they're the ones who run it to this day. Is a wealthy ruling class elite. They give women the right to vote. They gave black people the right to vote. But do we really have a true vote? Have we ever really had a true vote? No, they have wiped millions of people off the voter rolls that don't look like them. They execute hundreds of people that don't look like them. They've bombed a country and killed hundreds of thousands of people that don't look like them. It's time for people like us to stop them, because they're not going to stop themselves. Yeah. So we have to do it. And I thought the best favor we could do to humanity or for humanity is impeaching George Bush and Dick Cheney. I can't think of a higher way to help people in our country and people around the world. So we left Camp Casey on Tuesday. First visit was Houston. Houston, the old home of Halliburton. You know, they took their tax dollars and went to the Middle East. It's a home of so many oil profiteers, all these war profiteers who are making money off the flesh and blood of our children, off of the flesh and blood of the people of Iraq. Then we went to New Orleans. We all know about the Bush crimes in New Orleans. How he left people hanging off their roofs, screaming for water, sent people to the Superdome in inhumane conditions while he played golf in San Diego, while he ate birthday cake with John McCain. To me, that is one of the most tragic violations of his power, his presidency, is an inadequate, incompetent, and tragic response to Katrina. And then yesterday we were in Montgomery, Alabama, and of course that was a hotbed of the civil rights movement. That was a people-driven movement. If we want an impeachment movement, it has to be people-driven. Like I said, they're not going to impeach themselves. If Nancy Pelosi impeaches George Bush, what are we going to find out about Nancy Pelosi? If the Democrats hold the Republicans responsible, what are we going to find out about the Democrats? So anyway, it has to be a people's movement. Any true and lasting and valid and relevant and good change has come from the ground up in this country. Nothing good has ever come from the top down. In fact, we know what rolls downhill, and it's not good. And then this morning, we were at Fort Benning, Georgia, which I also believe I believe that is a cancer. It's a cancer on our country. Where they train assassins, where they train death squads, where they train torturers. How could anybody that is a true American go and protest us being there? How can anybody that is a true American be in favor of torture? For one thing, it's inhumane. For another thing, you never get good information from torture. And for a third very valid reason is it compromises our soldiers in the field. But in Washington, D.C., we're going to have a sit-in at Congressman Conyers' office. And we have people coming from all over the country to do this with us. We have over 900,000 signatures on a petition to impeach George Bush and Dick Cheney. That's on impeachbush.org. We have over 100,000 on afterdowningstreet.org. So we're going to take over 1 million signatures to John Conyers and Nancy Pelosi. That's a significant. So it is the people that will make change, not the politicians. So in D.C., if Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, and I agree with her on many things. I agree that we do need universal health care. I agree that we need lower student tuition interest rates. I agree that we need to reduce greenhouse emissions. I agree that we need sustainable energy, reusable and sustainable. But I agree from your point of view. I've been in a position where I've had to choose between buying my baby medicine and buying food. I've been in the position where my son was killed in their illegal and immoral war. Not one of them has had a child killed in war. I'm here with you horizontally. They're vertical. Nancy Pelosi sits up in a mansion in San Francisco. They have lost connection with the people of this country. Amen. They have lost. The House of Representatives is supposed to be the people's house. It's another place where the ruling class elite go to make decisions for us when they don't know about our lives. So that's why we have to become involved to say, you work for us, we don't work for you. And you don't work for the special interests. So if I run against Nancy Pelosi, I'm encouraging other people. If you have a Democratic representative that you're not satisfied with, or if you have a Republican that you're not satisfied with, run against them. That's what they understand. That's what John Conyers told me. He said, I can get telephone calls all day long saying impeach, but until somebody threatens my job, I don't feel the pressure to do it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm threatening her job. And I'm saying, do what we elected you to do. We elected you for a change, not to support the status quo. Many women like to keep the status quo going. It's comfortable, it's safe, but I'm saying here, I think the status quo in this country needs to be shook up. It needs to be changed. And if I have to go out in front of everybody to do it again, I'll do it again. So thank you all for coming, and I think we have some questions and answers. There's something very interesting when I was on CNN today. They know that I'm going to perhaps run for Congress against Nancy Pelosi in California's 8th as an independent. And the reason I'm going to potentially run against her is I want her to put impeachment back on the table. It was never hers to take off the table. Do you realize she said it even before they were elected? She said it like the day before the elections that they were taking impeachment off the table. Impeachment's not it's not a course, it's not a dinner course or a dessert. It's a constitutional remedy for people like George Bush and Dick Cheney.